Hello, I'm TrapExit, and I'd like to show you how to get started with my 3DO Homebrew toolkit on Windows. To make development, testing, and debugging easier, let us download and install RetroArch so that we can use the 3DO emulator Opera. While we're here, let's also download the 3DO Homebrew dev kit. Now that they're both downloaded, let's install RetroArch. Included in the dev kit is a script to download ROMs necessary for Opera to run, but we first need to launch RetroArch to ensure its config directories are created. Now let's extract the dev kit archive. Now, using PowerShell or Command Shell, let us enter the dev kit directory and activate the environment. This setup is similar to how Python virtual environments work by temporarily changing the environment to ensure executables are in the user's path. Now we have access to the script which can download the 3DO ROMs for us. Let's run that now. The script can also be run from Explorer by navigating to the bin, build tools, win directory, and running it from there. Now that Opera is set up, let's go back to the terminal and run make to build the primary example application, and then make run to run it in Opera. Now let me show you how to build other examples. First, go to the examples directory. In it, you will find a README and 3 directories: original, reworked, and community. As the README points out, the original directory holds original 3DO SDK examples without any changes besides text encoding. Reworked contains original examples which have been slightly rewritten with new makefiles created to work with this dev kit. Community contains examples built by the modern 3DO Homebrew community. Since the 3DO is a CD-ROM-based console and uses a file system to store content, including the operating system, libraries, and media assets, we need those files to build a functional ISO. 3DO called this directory TakeMe in the original SDK, and we continue to use that name for the directory storing file system assets. A bootstrap script is included in the dev kit, which will copy the necessary files into these example directories to make them buildable. Let's look at the original 3DO SDK example called Bounce. We can see a directory called data, which stores all the assets that need to be copied into the TakeMe directory, and the source directory. As you can now see, the directory contains the files and directories necessary for build. As before, we run make to build the project and make run to run it in Opera.
3DO, interactive, interactive, multiplayer, interactive, multiplayer, interactive, 3DO, interactive, 3DO, interactive.
Now let's look at another original 3DO SDK example, Orbit. Run bootstrap, make run. And that's it. That's all you need to get started with Homebrew on the 3DO. Go to the SRC directories, modify the source code, run make to build, and make run to test in the emulator. If you wish to remove the requirement to activate the environment every time, you can add the paths to your global environment by navigating to bin, build tools, win, and running the setup 3DO devkit environment batch file. If you wish to clean up these variables, go to System Properties, Environment Variables, and delete the TDO devkit path variable, as well as the individual paths found in the path variable. For those who don't like using the terminal, there are batch scripts included which do not need the environment activated and can run make run, and make clean just as if they've been executed from the shell. While the 3DO is primarily written in C and provides a high-level API to interact with the hardware, it is necessary for developers to get familiar with the OS and hardware to do anything interesting on the platform. The best documentation comes from the original Portfolio 2.5 release from 3DO. These docs can be found on 3dodev.com. It's recommended that newcomers focus on the graphics and OS subsections. If you have any questions, please join the 3DO Discord. Link is in the description. There are numerous 3DO Homebrew developers there, as well as a number of original devs.